Welcome back, everybody. Just gone 8:30 here on Morning Live. Hope you enjoyed that up-close and personal interview with Leah. Isn't she amazing? She really, really is. Now, the 6th of November is known as World Responsible Tourism Day. The day is used to encourage stakeholders within the tourism sector to promote principles of fair trade. In South Africa, a non-profit organization named Fair Trade Tourism advocates for responsible tourism. FTT believes that being a responsible traveler means having an amazing experience while at the same time giving back to the people and the environment you visit. Now, it's also a commitment to honoring the people and places that made your holiday happen. All right, let's get more detail about this day. And we are joined by Kathy Bergs, who is the General Manager and Acting Executive Director of Fair Trade Tourism. Good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live, Kathy.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so how was the Fair Trade Tourism formed and the idea behind this?
Well, I think people tend to be familiar with fair trade in agriculture, fair trade coffee, fair trade chocolate, fair trade wine. So about 14 years ago, they decided to determine whether the principles of fair trade could be applied to the tourism sector.
Yeah.
A study was undergone, and the answer was yes, we think it's possible to take these principles and develop a standard for fair trade tourism. So for the last decade, we've run a program certifying tourism businesses in South Africa against the principles of fair trade. And if they are certified, they carry a label that can speak to the traveler, to the travel trade, to the consumer, to say that they operate their business according to responsible principles, fair trade principles.
Fantastic. I mean, I think it's a great idea. So the message that you're relating on this World Trade Tourism Day, what is it?
So the message that we want to get out to South Africans is that you can do exactly what you've said. You can have a holiday here in South Africa and soon within the Southern African region as we're expanding our program now beyond the borders of South Africa. And at the same time, you know that you have the peace of mind that you are contributing to local communities, to the environment, to employees. You're giving back to the people that have made your holiday happen.
How do we do it? Give us some examples.
Okay. Well, there's a number of things that people can do. First of all, you can go to our website, www.fairtradetourism.org.za, and look at all the tourism businesses in South Africa that are certified. Another thing that you can do is learn about the code. Fair Trade Tourism is the local code representative. This is the Tourism Child Protection Code, which prevents the exploitation of children in tourism, particularly child sex tourism. And I think in this country, we're particularly conscious of the abuse of children at the moment. This is something I think that's really at the forefront of the news. It's a lot in people's minds. So this is a way of ensuring that children are protected from any exploitation in tourism.
Yeah. I mean, that is, it's devastating to even think about it, but it is a reality. Child sex tourism. I mean, this is, how big is that in South Africa?
Yeah, I mean, the notion actually
I don't want to go there, but we need to.
Exactly, and we don't have a reputation as a child sex tourism destination, as perhaps maybe some countries in the Far East. So it's not something that's necessarily at the front of people's minds, but at the same time we do know that as a country we have a lot of vulnerable children. We have a lot of child-headed households. We have a lot of children that are at risk. So the idea is that we want to send a clear message to the tourism industry that South Africa protects her children. We have zero tolerance for this.
Yeah, well, I would imagine so. What can travelers do to ensure that they're actually promoting responsible tourism?
So I think that it starts with informing yourself as a traveler. If you're uninformed, you quite innocently can be making wrong choices. So it starts with informing yourself. There is information out there, but like I said, as a starting point, for example, go to the website of Fair Trade Tourism. Learn which businesses are actually following global best practice, are actually giving back to the environment, giving back to local communities. It's easy enough to do if you look for the fair trade mark. We say it's the mark of a good holiday, so you don't have to sort of do your homework to determine whether your spend is being shared out fairly. You can just choose the places that you want to visit because of their location, their beauty, the activities that are available, the attractions in the area. But the fair trade mark gives you that peace of mind that you're doing the right thing.
I actually want to try and Google the mark because I don't know what it looks like myself. Because I mean, so that would be on. Okay, so I'm going to get onto the website fairtradetourism.org.za. Is this a so everybody that sort of is aligned with fair trade.
Correct.
They will have this trademark.
They will have that mark if they have achieved certification. It's a very rigorous process, and it's available to not only accommodation establishments, but activities, attractions, facilities, food services. We even have something called voluntourism, where volunteers come out because they're travelers that would also like to give back. Either students or maybe people on sabbatical, retired people, but people have a little time and want to give back to the places they visit.
Yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. And I know that, I mean, I was having such a wonderful conversation with some of the guys that did a book, that they traveled around Africa and they looked at globally friendly, environmentally friendly different lodges within South Africa, and they brought it down to the sort of a top 10 or anything like that. And I mean, they've highlighted them and saying that they are giving back to the community and they are environmentally friendly. So it's just supporting tourism that does good.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just sharing their stories, making people aware. That's it. You found
here we go.
Mark.
I found the Fair Trade Tourism logo. All right, Johan, that is the Fair Trade Tourism logo. So if you see this logo, all right, they've got some overload. Well, there you go. That's I found it on my iPad. So there we go, Fair Trade Tourism logo. If you see that logo, then you know that you are supporting a brilliant initiative, and they have to reach certain criteria to get the certification.
That's right.
What type of criteria are we looking for?
So the criteria address basically 4 main areas. The first we call sustainable company management and human resources. So looking at all their labor practices, workplace practices, health and safety, these sorts of things. The second area looks at community practices. So we look at to what extent are they recruiting from the local area, are they procuring from the local area, are they giving back into the community in which they're situated. The third looks at cultural heritage. So whether this is respected, whether any negative impacts are minimized and benefits maximized. And the fourth looks at environment, their environmental practices, their consumption of resources, their disposal of waste, protection of biodiversity, these sorts of things. So these are the main areas that the standard addresses. So it's quite a rigorous process to be assessed against this, but the businesses that are displaying this trademark have really evidenced that they've gone that extra mile to ensure that their business is really giving back.
Have we got a lot of South African companies that have
At the moment, there are just about 70. About 70. So it's still a small number, but we're really looking to simultaneously try and raise the supply in the region. We're expanding now within Southern Africa, and at the same time growing awareness of and demand for responsible travel.
Well, this is the way of getting it out there. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Look out for that Fair Trade logo, and if you are a business and you feel that you are doing good and you do qualify for this particular Fair Trade Tourism logo, then you go out there onto the website and you'll be able to find out all the details. It's fairtradetourism.org.za. Kathy Bergs, the GM and Acting Executive Director for Fair Trade Tourism. Thank you for joining us on Morning Live.